Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Mesopotamia, and we're going to focus on the geography of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia itself means land between rivers in Greek, and we're talking about the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This is in the eastern Mediterranean and flows into the Persian Gulf. It's also between the Zagros Mountains and Arabian Peninsula. And this is modern-day Middle East, mostly Iraq, but also parts of Syria and Turkey. If you look at the Middle East on a map here, you can see that it is between Asia, Europe, and Africa, and this is Mesopotamia. People began settling in Mesopotamia about 8,000 years ago. It was part of the Fertile Crescent, which means it was shaped like a crescent, and it had fertile land, which means you could grow things. So it possessed some of the best farmland of the ancient world, and the farmland allowed people to settle in one place and eventually develop cities. Before this, most people were hunters and gatherers. And some of the things they farmed were wheat and barley. And here you can see the picture of the Fertile Crescent. So you can see the crescent shape. The green on the map here would be the Fertile Crescent, kind of points where the Tigris and Euphrates floods overflow and make the soil good for farming. You can see it connects the Mesopotamian Sea and the Persian Gulf. On the north and the south, it is surrounded by desert. It doesn't get much rain. It only gets about 10 inches of rain a year, so that you can't really grow a whole lot of crops there. So instead of rain, the floods of the Tigris and Euphrates provide the water and make the soil good for farming. And the floods of the Tigris and Euphrates leave behind silt deposits, which is good soil for farming. So farming is possible. People can survive here. They're not starving. They no longer need to be hunters and gatherers. And once again, this is going to help them develop cities later on. And you can see the fertile soil here. And this is because it's in a flood zone. So the floods create the fertile soil, create the silt, give moisture to the soil. But there's also some bad things with the flood, as we always think about with floods. So the floods of the Tigris and Euphrates were necessary for farming, but they're also destructive and unpredictable. They flooded too much or too strong. The floods would destroy farmland, wash away topsoil, maybe destroy villages. And if it flooded too little, then you get droughts. So there are long periods of time without flooding or rain, and this results in droughts, which could result in starvation for people in Mesopotamia, and sometimes even large empires in Mesopotamia to fall. Warfare was common in Mesopotamia. Since valuable farmland was extremely limited outside the Fertile Crescent, war was common throughout Mesopotamia, as they would compete for land that was actually a place you could settle and farm and survive. So when one village got wiped out by a flood or by drought, they would seek new land to conquer or to live. So Mesopotamia constantly fought wars for control of land and resources. We think of this area as being very war-torn today. And if you won a war, you could gain tributes from neighboring villages who would pay you in forms of goods or services for you to protect them or to end the war. All right, thanks for listening. We will continue talking about Mesopotamia here in the next lesson when we talk about the economy of Mesopotamia and how they're able to use irrigation to help themselves out when there was droughts or to save themselves from destruction of floods. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.